These are the people teaching your kids. I'm going to show you. And that's why it's important to be like Matt Walsh, to do what he did, to stand up and to mock these people. This is absolutely wild stuff. I'm going to show you this.
So I just came out to my students.
Hold, please. You just what? You just came out to your students? You're an adult female, and you decided you needed to explain to some impressionable children who you would like to sleep with and who you prefer to sleep with. I mean, that's just, and you're so proud of it, you're going to post it on the internet and cry about it with some nice music so we can all encourage you.
I've been wanting to do this for the past 2 years. Sorry, I'm like so emotional.
What kind of self-respecting adult that is supposed to teach children, to educate children, is bawling about telling children about who she's sleeping with and doesn't have any friends or family that she wants to talk to about maybe, the things she's going to, or her preferences or whatever? Shocking.
And I just haven't had the courage to do it out of fear of judgment, mostly from their parents.
Oh, mostly from their parents.
But I had these.
You think? you think parents would feel a little? What if you're you're the brother-in-law or the aunt or uncle comes over and it's like, hey kids, let me tell you a little something about me. That would make you uncomfortable. To have some random stranger who's teaching your kids for 6 months tell you about their desires. I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Kids in 4th grade, and now I have them in 6th, and I'm sending them to middle school, and I love these kids so much, and I trust them, and they make me feel safe. And
I can't even watch this. They make me feel safe. You're just using these kids to. It makes me sick. You're just using these kids to just fulfill this fantasy of being accepted, or these are kids that you're coming out to or whatever. It's just so disturbing. Anyway, I got another video I gotta show you.
If you can be reasonably assured that you are safe being out on your campus, then do it. Before coming out as non-binary, I would come out to my students every October on
She used to come out to her students every October because she's non-binary.
National Coming Out Day. I would use that as an opportunity for my students to learn how to receive somebody coming out to them in case that had never happened to them before. We used it as a way to talk to each other about empathy, about connection, about trust. It ended up.
I love that they weaponize all kinds of virtues and sneak in your own personal ideology. I got to be careful with my words here. They always do that. It's like, well, don't you want fairness? Aren't you for people that have equal opportunity? It's like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, then why doesn't everyone make the same amount of money? Why don't we have equity, equal equity? It's like, well, that's completely different because then you're stealing from someone else and doing nothing in return. That's what they're trying to say. But they always have a Trojan horse. So, are you against women's rights? I'm like, no, of course not. Well, then we should be able to abort this baby. We should be able to murder this baby, right? It's like, no, actually, no. But they always wrap this diseased, corrupt ideology in some nice, great sounding, empathetic package, and that's like it. Just like the governor in the first story.
Being a wonderful experience that I had with my students every single year. So think about what you would have needed when you were in high school or middle school or whatever grade you're teaching. For some students, just the knowledge that a queer adult exists within their.
Oh yeah, that's what you really need when you were in high school, middle school. Oh yeah, because that's what you really need in high school or middle school when you were trying to learn these new subjects that were completely foreign to you. It was like, well, is there a queer individual I know? Because that would really help me in this subject. Absolutely insane stuff. I got one more, because it's not just the creepy sex stuff that people are pushing. It's also the shaming that a lot of teachers unfortunately have taken part in, and the way certain kids would even feel trying to speak up about their beliefs, their family, their culture, who they voted for, their political beliefs, their stances on different issues. This is an example of what some kids would be going up against.
Do you want to know why he brought? Do you want to know why he brought the Trump flag in?
Why?
So I'm going to say this politically correct, to make a lot of the African American kids mad. So that was his motive. Do you support him now?
So he's racist.
Yes. And then everyone here supporting him. Free Colton.
His best friend is black. His best friend is black.
Fake news.
Wait, are you calling Trump racist?
Trump brings out racism.
I don't care.
And trafficking.
Supporter, get out of here. Bro, sure. I don't know.
Good for these kids speaking out. And what's crazy is these kids sounded really young too. But it was like anything that I disagree with. because I am God if I am someone in the progressive left. Whatever I say, if you don't do it, you're not listening to God. Because I am God, I can invoke this horrible, horrible description on some kid because he votes differently than me. He makes me feel uncomfortable. So he must be a racist. And I'm going to get all the kids to, would you defend your friend now? Because, he says he just supports Trump, but, maybe he's just for, I don't know, more freedom, less taxes, having religious freedoms, that sort of thing. No. You may say that, but really, really his intention was to make African-American kids uncomfortable because he's racist, because that's the one thing that they have in their arsenal. That's to shame and belittle. And they invoke it's the reverse of wrapping their ideology in these nice sounding packages too. What they like to do with people that are just speaking truth is they wrap them in something we all know is evil and wrong. So it's like, because no one's going to say racism is good. Obviously, everyone thinks that's wrong. So if you disagree with that person, you just call them a racist. And it's like, we can't even acknowledge that person. And they're doing this to kids in schools around the country. That was a Florida teacher, by the way. That is shocking.